Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, this week for me was all about just getting my boat up and running to 100%, and I am definitely not at 100%. If you've ever built a boat or bought a new boat, there's always things, right? There's always bugs that are gremlins that are running around that you got to find. It's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? You got to find them, get them ironed out, and for the most part, got some of those issues taken care of. Certainly have a few that need to be taken care of, but in the end, what a great week. I mean, really, the weather was absolutely beautiful. There were several days where the fishing was really good, either it be the Willamette or the 3-day opener on the Columbia. Now, myself, again, I covered a lot of ground just trying to break motors in. It takes several hours. I got 6 hours on my big motor for a reason, just getting everything broken in. And the kicker has got to be broken in by now. But I did have a chance to do a little bit of fishing, of course. That's why we're out there. And this first photo I'm going to show you is literally 15 minutes of being on the water the very first day out, actually fishing. Made a long run to get to where I was going, and was lucky enough after getting everything kind of squared away. And of course, I forgot my tackle box. And I just had stuff that I had thrown into the boat, rods that had been rigged from last year. So it was kind of a cluster, to say the least. But once I got everything kind of situated, I actually got to see this thing come up and bite my bait. It's one of the coolest things. I'm experimenting with new technology like a lot of people have out there, being able to look forward and see some things. And yeah, I'm going to tell you right now that it was pretty cool. And I was lucky enough to be able to just get that bite to hang, because there were several that'll come up and look and go, never mind, I don't really want that. But it did work out pretty good. It was an interesting week. Again, covered a lot of ground. But, of course, herring fishing. It can be great, and it can also be super frustrating. Take a look at some of these baits. This is in one day, 3 different bites that just, how did they not get a hook? 2 of them were full blown. I could see everything happening, knowing that they were Chinook, coming up, grab it, the whole shebang, peeling line, and this is what you get back. You know, a bait bit in half or torn in half or shredded, pulled down to the bottom hook. And we've talked about 3 hook setups over the years. We've talked about a number of different ways to rig hooks, and I always go back to my original, mooching rig setup, something that's caught millions of salmon over the years, it seems like. Just seems like it doesn't want to really work for me all the time. But look at my baits. At least they wanted to eat it. I mean, just killing me. It just kills me. But that's fishing for you. In the end, I was able to get one to take home, let a couple go, lost a couple, had some good opportunities. But for the most part, the one day that I spent on the Columbia, which was Wednesday, I was unable to fish on Thursday. I only saw 1 fish get caught, although the fishing was really, really good in certain areas up and down the Columbia, depending on where you were spending your time and if you were smart enough, unlike me, to get on the hook and just run plugs. David, you know who you are. Let's take a look at fish counts real quick, see what's going on over there. They haven't updated the last couple days on the Willamette, but you can see the numbers were ramping up. I would expect that those numbers are probably even higher on the 17th and 18th. It all depends on how that kind of works its way out. The Columbia, though, again, it is closed below Bonneville, but we are going to keep track of it just so that we know where these numbers are. There's been several questions already about openers. Are we going to get another one to chase springers around? As it stands now, there won't be any Chinook fishing on the Columbia until the 1st of August. Now, we're going to be able to chase sockeye and steelhead in the summer, but there will be no summer Chinook fishery. Very frustrating for a lot of people for a number of different reasons. We're not going to get sidetracked with that, but we will continue to keep an eye on that, and we will start to add in as we get closer the sockeye and different numbers as well. But in the end, it is closed below Bonneville with 2,700 over, and from what I understand, I don't foresee that changing, but who knows? You're just going to have to kind of follow along, and hopefully we'll see how things are going. But the Willamette, of course, is where everybody's going to be chasing springers right now. Turbidity is borderline perfect. Yesterday I was fishing right across from the mouth of the Clackamas along with everybody else that wasn't catching any fish. You could certainly see that line right there, but I love that clarity, at least for now. We'll see how that all kind of hangs out. River levels, though, on the Willamette, again, we'll probably continue to show the Columbia just because it's turned the Willamette with the spill over at Bonneville, has turned the Willamette into Lake Willamette in a lot of the sections in that lower area. But you can see it is below what its forecast was. Might see some flow come back before the end of the month. It's difficult to tell. It all depends on how long they're dumping water up there at Bonneville. But taking a look at Vancouver, same thing. And David, you were talking about this earlier. It dropped. It's below its original forecast. We'll see how that kind of plays out or what it does to the Columbia. You can see at Bonneville, they did start to chop it a little bit the last couple of days. Point being here, if the Columbia does drop and stops backing up the Willamette, we'll start getting flow in the Willamette again, and that does improve fishing. It doesn't matter what kind of fishing you like to do. The closer you are to Oregon City, the less this affects it. But in the end, when it slows all that current in the lower section down, it gets really difficult to either anchorfish or bounce herring, different baits, whatever, on shelves because there's just no current. And people are really starting to switch over to just trolling, deep water kind of techniques, 360s, stuffer baits. That cut plug from Yakima has been producing pretty interestingly. I say that just because of temperatures, but now they're in the 50s. I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that, but it is in the mid 50s. So it's interesting to see how that's going to kind of really play out. CCA Banquet, we try to help out as much as possible with letting you all know what's going on. They've got an upcoming banquet, I should say, in Tillamook. It is Saturday the 19th. That would be today. If you're in that area and you want to go have some good eats, meet some really good people, and if you're already a member of the CCA, you're more than welcome, obviously. But even if you're not, you're welcome to come in. And who knows, maybe by the time you leave, you would be a member as well. Also, there's a derby going on up there at Merwin. Everybody loves to chase kokanee for a good reason. They're absolutely delicious. They're super fun to target. And Merwin is by far one of the best places that we have around here in the state of Washington and Oregon, easily. But pretty cool when you can have a little bit of fun with it, as well as with this derby that you see there. It benefits the Amboy Firefighters Santa Claus Fund. Pretty cool. If you're able to participate, do so. Don't forget to send Jason at procure.com an email, and you'll be entered in to win that prize pack from Procure. All right, let's go ahead and take Richard from Kenmore now. We're lucky enough to talk with Richard quite a bit. For all you folks that are up north, you've talked about Richard many times because he shares information from the Puget Sound area. Now he's in my backyard on the Willamette. Richard, what are you seeing down there?
Well, Owen, I kept my lines tight this morning, and it rewarded me with one nice Chinook. And
nice.
I lost another nice bite, so 1 for 2 this morning.
Very nice. How are you fishing? What style of fishing are you doing?
Just trolling with spin rays, Sweet Caroline's spin rays, about a 40-inch leader to a chartreuse Procure herring.
Okay, so running herring. How's the crowd down there in the area that you're fishing?
Dude, I've seen every Oregon boat and half of Washington's fleet.
I wouldn't doubt it. He says it's
way over 100.
Well over 100. Yeah, that's the time.
Yeah. A lot of people going up. A lot of people going up river, but it is busy.
Busy. Have you seen many nets fly around?
Maybe one other net, but no, not down by where we are. We got our bites early between like probably 6 and 7:15, and then it's just wind came up a little bit, fighting that a little bit, but probably 2 feet of visibility.
2 feet of visibility. So it's looking, it's interesting. With the clarity that they were showing on the turbidity gauge, it should be perfect. But they said 4.5 on the turbidity, but it's more like 8.5. That's interesting that you say that. So there you go. There's a live report from the lower parts of the Willamette. Richard from Kenmore with a fish in the boat and one loss. Don't feel bad, man. It's amazing how they can come up and bite a 3/0 hook with a barb and still shake them. It's pretty darn frustrating, but at least you got one to take home. I got to eat some fresh salmon, Willamette salmon. Unfortunately, I didn't get a Columbia fish this year, but it was delicious. At least you got something, Richard.
Yeah, we're going to give it a little bit more, and then we'll see you again next weekend.
Hey, good luck, man. Be safe. Safe travels, okay? Thanks for calling and sharing. Again, that's Richard from Kenmore with the fish in the boat in the lower part of the Willamette. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have another live report, hopefully with good video. We've got Grant Sheely. He's out on the Willamette right now in the Oregon City area. targeting Chinook, which is probably another really busy area right now. We'll be back with that in just a minute.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.